They must.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Techgig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Introduction to RRDI Capabilities. And our guest speaker today is Sangeeta Damodara. She is the IT analyst with Tata Consultancy Services. Sangeeta is a member of TCS IBM Rational Technology Excellence Group. She has more than 7 years of experience in IT with 5 years of Rational Tools Consulting. Her area of specialization include requirement management and application lifecycle management, and is IBM certified specialist in RTC, JAS, CLM. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Sangeeta.
Thanks, Aradhana. Thanks for the introduction. Hello all. My name is Sangeeta Damodara. I'm with Tata Consultancy Services. So today's session is on reporting capability of RTC. It's an extendable reporting capability. The name is Rational Reporting for Development Intelligence. So people who are attending this session, I believe they all know what is the JTS architecture all about. They know about the rational team concept as well as a bit of knowledge on RQM and the RRC as well. So I'm sure all of us have always greater challenges when it comes to reporting, because all the tools have limited set of reports, the out-of-the-box reports that have been given, and there are a lot of limitations with respect to the way you want to represent your data in terms of reports. And most of these reports being used by the management, they just not want a table report. They would want a report in pie chart, or it could be a graph. It could be a graph, something which can help them taking some decisions. So we have always we've already seen the widget capability of all these rational CLM tools, and the tools also have capabilities to provide us some information with respect to graphs also. But first limitation when I would say is when we get any report, it is for a specific tool, like it is either for a CCM or for a quality manager or for a requirement management. So there are very few, I would say there are I think one or two reports, one or two views in these tools that can give us the end-to-end traceability, the data between different components of JTS. When I say JTS, I would mean the components of JTS. I would mean RTC, RQM, and RRC, or the dose nexen, which is called as now. So this is the agenda. So let's have a look on the RRDI overview. Let's see what is the architecture of this tool, and how do I configure this rational reporting for development intelligence with my JTS. And let's see about some of the administration basics, the two concepts called as Query Studio, Report Studio. Can I create a simple report with that? Okay, so it's a simple agenda with very few basic information. Today we are not looking at more on the customization. It is more on the overview side. So what is RRDI? Everybody knows it is a reporting tool. It helps me to communicate the status. You would monitor your project progress as well as identify some corrective action based on the reports that have been given to you. Okay. Also, these tools mainly help to manage your project as well as your program, and it will help your stakeholders or your customers to do the day-to-day decision taking, because things are more agile now. Everybody wants more of the live reporting, wherein the decisions can be taken quickly. In case if there are any corrective measures that have to be implemented, let them also be done quickly. So first question is, what is RRDI? Everybody, I think we have the basics of the tool. So when I say about a reporting tool of rational team consult or rational quality manager. I'm sure even when you browse through or even in the jazz.net, there are two tools that they mention. One is rational reporting for development intelligence, that is RRDI, and rational insight. RRDI is an optional installation with JTS, which does not include an additional license as such. It is free of cost for people who have purchased JTS. But Insight is a separately licensed commercial tool. So when because there is a cost involved with rational insight, we need to know exactly what RRDI can do and under which circumstances I should select rational insight over rational RRDI. Basically, my RRDI can provide me the report on only for one JAS team server. Let's say for a distributed environment where I have multiple JAS team servers and there are multiple DBs and there is a different level of connection. The rational RRDI will not be so much helpful for me to get concatenated data. And the second limitation about RRDI is it cannot report on data from sources beyond the 3CLM applications. That means it can provide you the reports only on RTC, RQ, and RRC or DMG. Let's say there are customers who are using certain traditional rational tools like Rational Requisite Pro or Rational Clear Quest or Rational Test Manager. Then in that case, I will not be able to get a single report on clear test integration with RQM with the help of RRDI. In that case, I'll have to go for a rational insight. So the 2 points why I have put them in the overview is because everybody knows RRDI is just a reporting tool that can it can help you create custom queries, put them into a particular template, display the same thing as visually. Okay, but when we are understanding the structure of the RRDI, it is important for us to know the limitations of the tool also. I did not want to put it as a separate slide as such, so I've just added these 2 points in the overview table. So when do I go for RRDI is basically when I want to have a CLM integrated data report where I have my requirements in those next and my test cases are in RQM and my task and my defects are in RTC. Then all the 3 components information, probably with the end-to-end traceability report, I will be able to achieve it with the help of RRDI. But in the scenario where let's say I have my Clear Quest integrated with Rational Quality Manager, where the Clear Quest the defects from the RQM are actually flown to the Clear Quest, then RRDI will not help me in providing the data a single report. In that case, I will have to go to the rational insight. So this is all about overview. Let me just check if there are any questions. Just give me a second. Sorry, I had some issues while moving to the next page. Really sorry about that. So now we know when to use rational RRDI and when to use insight. And these are the certain examples, some report examples that I can achieve with RRDI. RRDI is heavily customizable. It all depends on how do I customize my process templates in the RTC or RQM or RRC. Let's say I want to have a new set of report altogether for custom defined attributes, and I'll have to define those custom defined attributes in my work items, and I'll have to pull the same in my RRDI. So let's just see what are the couple of examples for RRDI. You can have a pie chart for your percentage of open work items. You can also have a graph to see the change in the number of untested work items over time. Basically, this would be a trend report, and I can also get a rate of change of requirements over time. Basically, it is a requirement or volatility. it is nothing but probably I would say for a particular defined period, one requirement has gone through how many changes. Okay, so these are the information that RRDI can give me. It is like change over time. Most of these informations are not accessible, and I cannot create such reports in the RTC or the CLM tools, the reporting capabilities. So it can also provide me test coverage of requirements. It's just a simple like test coverage of requirements, but at the back end it would include two tools, RQM and dose next. Right, wherein my requirements information would flow from DNG, and my test coverage, it is more on the test case linking to the requirement information, wherein the test case information will come from RQM. Development item coverage over requirements. Basically, it is a requirement to task linking, requirement from DNG to the task linking in RTC. One more report I can view is requirements affected by defects. Whenever there is a defect that is being raised, against which requirement it is being raised, we can see that in the report. Again, this also involves two tools, dose next and RCM. Requirement test execution result, requirements lifecycle traceability report. Lifecycle traceability report would include the requirements from dose next, the task and the defects information from RTC, as well as the test case and their execution status from RCM. So I can have the one single report about 3 tools for a particular project using RRDI. Moving to the next slide. The slide is IBM RRDI architecture. So everybody knows, Jastin server, you have CCM, QM, RM components, and every component, has a UI and a storage specifically with the database. So first, the limitation with RRDI is, you cannot use RRDI in an environment where you are using probably some test DBs, like probably the DB2 Express. You will have to have a standard databases, which is supported by the JTS. Also, it has to be put on application server, preferably or WebSphere application server. So I have my Jastin server, and that also has a DB connected to it. Then I have 3 components of my CCM, QM, and RM, and I also have a storage area for those 3 tools. For me to use RRDI, it is mandatory for me to configure the RRDI during the JTS setup. Okay, so all my data, all my reporting data, I would say, from the JTS, CCM, QM, and RM components will flow to database. So that is the JTS architecture. And then coming to the rational report RRDI, it has basically 2 components. One is the rational report server, and the other one is content store database. The picture below actually gives a little more information about the rational report server and the content store database. Report server has got certain components like the report studio, the query studio, the Cognos connection, and Cognos Administration. Each of it we will go through in detail in the future slides. And also the content store database. Content store database will have sample reports, some of the report templates, most of the metadata information reside in this content store. So for RRDI to retrieve the data from the three units of CLM, basically CCM and QM, it would actually refer to your data warehouse DB. Okay, so it does not copy to its own DB. RRDI does not have its own DB for the data storage. It just refers to your data warehouse. And about Report Studio and Query Studio, we will see them in detail in the coming slides. So that's what I have to share in this particular slide. Just moving to the next one. Please give me a second. Seems like my machine is hanging. Give me a yeah. Moving to the slide number 6. That is IBM RRDI sketch. Okay, let's to the audience as well. Okay, so whatever in the architecture that I've shown, the same thing. It's more on the pictorial information. So you have your CLM data, that is RKM, RTC, and RRC. Basically, it is transfer. The data is put to your data warehouse DB through the ETL jobs, extract, transformation, and load jobs. That either a user will run or he will have to schedule the ETL jobs time duration. And once you have the data, the reporting data in your data warehouse, they are actually packaged as, again, metadata packages, wherein you would be able to view your data in operational data source. Basically, every element you will have to you will get a chance to see all the elements that are being exposed by RTC and RTC, RKM, and RRC tools in the reporting section, with which you can do all your custom calculations, and you can use those elements to design your report. Okay, so you use your metadata packages that are used by report authors to provide, and then with that particular data from your ODS, operational data source, you have your metrics, your charts, your dashboard. It could be a simple table report as well as a graphical view. So that's all I have to share in the sketch. Moving to the next slide, IBM RRDI configuration with JTS. It's waiting for the view to buffer. Okay, so now we know where RRDI comes into the picture. Now, once you install your CLM application, it is mandatory. Excuse me. It is mandatory for you to configure the data warehouse to install RRDI. And once that is done, you would configure and run your data collection jobs. Every tool admin, like you have JTS admin, CCM, and QM admin, you'll have to just go to the reporting wherein you have a data collection jobs that will have to be executed. So the data collection jobs vary for every tool. For CCM, it has data collection jobs like common, work items, field, and SCM. For QM, it is common, work items, and quality management. Again, for RM, it will be common requirements and stuff. So where do you go to the, where do you see all those ETL jobs? Is in your server, HTTPS or HTTP based on your SSL authentication, SSL configuration provided, and then you would go to your server port, then it could be /JTS or CCM, then /admin. In that you would go to your reporting tab. From there you would go to data collection jobs to see all these jobs, and you can manually also execute all the data collection jobs. So that was just a pictorial representation. Now let's see exactly, in tool what do I do. I have not covered the RRDI installation in this session. I'm sure it's very little difficult to put all the snapshots of installation document. It is just it won't be even that much interesting for an audience. So what I've done, I've deleted all, probably I've ignored the installation step, and I've just only put the setup, the RRDI setup slides here. So once you have installed your RRDI, basically you would go to your server name : 10443 is the default port in which your RRDI gets installed. During the installation, you also have a chance to change the port number. In case you have provided a default port, it will be 10443/RRDI/setup. So in the setup, first it will ask you to set up your server URL. It will ask you to provide your JTS location from where it can pull all the data from. So you would give your server //JTS, and then you will have to have a mandatory user ID and password. By default, the username and password is admin like you have it in the JTS. Then once that is done, you would do a configuration management system setup. So basically, it is to have all your metadata stored. In case if you are able to recollect, we had something called as the content store and the reporting server. So for me to store all the metadata about my reports, I would need a DB. I would need a database. Here in the snapshot, I have shown how to configure it for IBM DB2. So I've just given a database name as RRDI. Okay, so it's the same configuration. You will have to give a database host name, the database name, who is the administrator for that particular database. You need to make sure that the administrator has has been granted all the permissions for this particular DB. Okay, then there is something called as configure data warehouse connection properties. Here I am not creating a new DB. I am here connecting to the data warehouse that was configured during the JTS installation, during the JTS setup. So again, I would have to give the database port number, the database name, whatever the data warehouse data warehouse DB you would have provided. Again, all the sessions and all the help manuals from the IBM, they usually refer it as RIDW for your data warehouse. So the same was being referred, and we have provided that database name, again the administrator and password information. So that's all for the RRDI configuration. I would provide DB, basically a new database table, to store all my metadata related to my reporting, the reporting content store, and I would actually connect to the data warehouse that was set up during the JTS installation. Okay, that's all about the RRDI configuration with the JTS. So that's all. So I'm moving to the next slide, that is slide number 12. Let's see what are the different components of IBM RRDI and what kind of administration tasks that I can do. Okay, so once I have the installation, I would have a setup for any tool. It could be any application. First, I would do an installation. I would done the setup, and now I would look into the administration options. In the Cognos Administration, what are the different options that are available for me, and which options to use. So basically, your Cognos Administration will have contents like server administration, the data management, security and content administration, activities management, and total services administration. So these are the different type of administration services you can do with RRDI. Again, RRDI is a light version of IBM Insight, the Rational Insight. So we might not be able to do all the tasks that are actually possible with the Insight. RRDI also has its own set of limitations. Okay, that's all about the Cognos Administration. I'm directly coming to the RRDI query studio. Okay, the flow is like this. We have seen the overview of RRDI. We've seen exactly where RRDI comes into the picture in the whole of JTS setup. So once the RRDI installation is done, what is the different kind of configuration that you do with the RRDI and JTS, so that RRDI can actually point to your data warehouse. So we have seen that. We have also seen a bit of little insight on what exactly RRDI about and the components within it. So we have actually listed 4 components: the IBM Cognos Connection, the Query Studio, the Report Studio, and Cognos Administration. Cognos Administration, we just went to at least we just saw what are the different types of administrative tasks that I can do. Then now I'm coming to the query studio. Before that, I know just one liner about the Cognos connection. Cognos connection is nothing but basically the URL link through which you can actually access your IBM RRDI. The link would be http:// your server name : again the port. The default port is 9080/reporting. This would be your Cognos connection to your RRDI. And one more thing, though IBM tools claim to be supporting all the web browsers, it is always advisable to use RRDI with Internet Explorer only. Once you have your RRDI open, you will have an option called as launch, wherein you can launch either a query studio or report studio. Sometimes if you are using a Chrome or Firefox, you might not see those launch options at all. I have faced this problem, that is why I'm just sharing this information with you. Make sure you are actually open it in the Internet Explorer, preferably version 9 and up. Okay, so here I've come to this point, IBM RRDI Query Studio. As the name suggests, I can create a query. Okay, so in this basically I can drag and drop my elements from the operational data source. Okay, where I'm pointing at operational data source, and you can pull the elements into this working section where you have that arrow button in the working section where you can directly see the data with respect to those ODU elements. So you can quickly design, and you can even create and you can save the report. This is basically for the on-the-spot queries, and you also have option of filtering. Provide some filters on the elements of your ODS and simple report type. So this is about your query studio. Nothing great as well, but if in case you are planning to create let's say a calculated report or a query that has some custom calculation, like I would say the requirements volatility, or you want to see any of the quality related metrics, then probably you will have to jump to the report studio, because query studio will not be able to give me that many options for the calculation creation as well as for the filtering. Okay, so just the little bit overview about this operational data source. Okay, so you have something called as activity area, build area, comment area, competency area. So these are the different areas wherein the operational data source has been divided, and I'll be able to see all the reports with all the data elements with respect to RTC, RPM, and DNG. So once I go there, everything will have an ID, will have a name, but I will not know exactly which element to check for what report. So basically, all my work item related information. When I say work item, it could be a requirement in RRC, it could be a task or a defect in RTC, also it could be a test element, it could be a test case or a test script element from RTL. So everything is available in the request area section of operational data source. It is in the request area section of operational data source. We will go to the request area section and we will see how do we create a simple report from now. So about the operational data source, I have something called as reporting data model, change management, configuration, project and quality management, and requirement management. These data models already have certain predefined report templates. They have certain predefined report templates which are different than the out-of-the-box report that you get in the tool, in the RTC RPM tool. And you can just execute those reports directly to see whether whether that is the data you actually are expecting. In case your expectation is very much different and you will have to create a report from the scratch, then you will have to directly depend on you have to be dependent on operational data source, and in that the request area element. So that's all about the query studio. I can just create the query and I can just run the query so that I can view the tabular form of data directly. Moving to the next slide, that is IBM RRD Report Studio, slide number 3. I hope the view is loaded for all the audience. So what is it being used for? You can see first of all the snapshot is very much different from the query studio, except the source. Okay, it is used for creating, editing, and distributing reports and for defining your report templates. Okay, so you want something which is very quick. You can directly go to Query Studio, drag and drop the elements, and then you can view the report. But let's say there are certain reports you would want to keep it as a template and probably like a status meeting, like a status report. You can just run it every week, and then you can get the report. Then you can save them as a report template in the report studio. In the report studio, you can actually create templates for reports. You can schedule the time at which the reports are generated, and you can share the reports. Basically, you can export the reports as HTML file, Excel file, as well as the PDF file. So it is you can snapshot and see what exactly is how report studio varies from the query studio. The first is one and the same. You have the reporting data model, and then you have again operational data source. Operational data source, again you will have the same activity area, job area, request area. It is exactly similar to your query studio. But just opened basically expanded one page, that is called page explorer. Okay, you can in that line, basically in that vertical tab, you can see actually three tabs. One is the page explorer. The next one is a prompt page explorer. The next one is a query explorer. So how do you do? How do you basically use query explorer and the page explorer? Usually, it is always good to first get the data and then later define the structure of your report. So I can directly define a structure of a report. Basically, I'll have to just provide sections in the report pages where I'll have to just create new pages. So you can see one report can have multiple report pages, and there is also something called as prompt pages. So what is a prompt? It is something that will ask the end user to provide some information. Based on that information, the RRDI will generate report and it will show it to you. Okay. An example for a prompt page would be, let's say in your JTS RTC you have hundreds of projects, but my project manager is interested in only one of the projects. Then he does not want to see the report at the RTC database level. You would want to see the report only at his project level. Then we can choose the project name as a prompt page. Basically, for a filtering, we can give multiple prompt pages later. Do you want to probably it would be a filter for projects. Again, within projects, do you want to filter for the team area? That information also you can do it. Okay. So that's about your report pages and your prompt pages. Then comes your query explorer. Let's see, I'll try to show in the one small snapshot exactly what is the scenario and what is exactly the execution steps for creating one simple report with respect to RRDI. Moving to the slide number 15, the heading is IBM RRDI, generate a report. I'll just wait for the view to load. Okay, so I am in the report studio because query studio is nothing but dragging and dropping your elements and just creating a query. I did not include those snapshots here. I am in the report studio and I have just set file new report, and this is what I would get. And so in that again I've gone to in the vertical tab, I've gone to the middle tab, I've gone to the query explorer. Basically first I want to customize all my queries here, and then I want to put that data in my report page. So first I'm into the query explorer. So if I go to the query explorer, in the toolbox you can see a lot of options: query, join, union, intersect, extract, SQL, and MD. Creating a query is more like you extract the data using your SQL. First you would create a query, and then you would involve the elements or the attributes of your tool, exactly which information you want to add. Then you would add them query. So obviously Why is it required to create multiple queries? Because you have all your data in your ODS, operational data source, like your activity area, your job area, your alteration area, and your request area. All your information with respect to work items, you might be able to, it is possible for you directly to get it from the request area. But what if I want to get the information for a particular iteration? Then I will have to again depend on the other operational data source, create a query, and then I would need to either join or union or intersect the query so that I can have the exact data that I'm looking for. Okay. So here I'm not covered the joining and intersect portions for creating a report. So what I've done, I've just dragged and dropped the query item from the toolbox to the working area, and once I have created that query one, I just have to double click on that query one. I just have to double click on that query one, and then I have to depend on the operational data source. So I was telling operational data source has got different elements in which all my work item related information are available in the request area. Okay, request area is the folder to remember. Again, in that I have different categories. In that I come to the request, and I have pulled only certain items like data items to the data items window. So it has you can see from the source, it actually has something called as activation date, actual work, design date, build ID, build end. I do not want those things to my in my report for now. So I just basically it is always a drag and drop. I'll drag the elements from my source to my data item. So this simple query says, basically give me a tabular view of the data, which includes my request ID. Request ID is nothing but the ID of your work item. Okay, request ID is the ID of your work item, and I want to see the work item name and it's owned by whom, for which phase it is being assigned. Do I have any planned planned efforts for this project? On which platform am I I've raised this particular work item for, and for which project is this work item for? Probably it could be a task, or it could be even be a task, or it could be a defect. And then what is the priority? If it's a task or if it's a defect, what is I want to see its priority? And there is something called as request type. Request type is nothing but a work item type. So when I say work item type, especially from RTC perspective, I would have different work items, like it could be a task, it could be a story, it could be an impediment, or it could be even be a defect. So I can actually view what type it is, and then I will have summary. Summary is nothing but the description of my work item, then to which team is it being assigned to. Okay, so these are the different elements, the data items I have actually dragged to my query, and then I've put simple filters. You can see them in the detailed filter. Okay, I have actually put a filter on the request type is equal to task. I want to see only those work items that are of type task. I do not want to see the stories. I do not want to see the defects in this project. And also I have put a filter on project name. In case my data in my RTC, I have around 100 projects. It will list me the data for all the 100 projects. I want to filter it for a particular project. Okay, I've put it as project name is equal to CCM sample. So if you guys can just recollect about the prompt pages, whatever the filter that I given prompt page are more on the real time, and the filter which are put in the detailed filter are hard coded. Okay, detailed filter data is something which cannot be edited by the end user. End user will be able to only choose the options in case if it is provided in the prompt page. Okay, so that's how I've added, created the one query. Query name is this query one. So that's all I have done with respect to the query. Now my next challenge would be to add this query to my report, exactly at which section I want this data to be populated, and I can actually define certain criteria or certain sections in the report where it is like, any report that you see, basically a word report, you have an introduction, and then you would have a summary, and probably like the reports and then actions to be taken. So like this, you would have different sections in your report template that you can actually define in your report studio. So now moving to the report studio. In the report studio, in the vertical tab, I just have to choose the report explorer, and for me to create a report template, I would need certain things. So this is the toolbox. This is not the total, the whole list of toolbox. There are some more items in it. So I can actually create my report template using the text items. It could be a block. I can insert a table or a query calculation. You make you have a list, cost up. You can even have it as a chart, map. So these are the different options with respect to your report template design. These are the options that are provided by RRDI. Moving to the slide number 18, basically I had created the page, right? So how do I put the data? It's very simple. In my sorry about that. So basically, once I've come to my report section, in the data item, the first tab is the one that I showed right just now. Basically, it will just list me all the queries that it has. In that, I can select one query, and I can again drag and drop. Again, it is I can even choose which columns, basically which data items I want to move from my query to a report. And the next one is basically the toolbox, with which I would actually design my report. You have something called as a title section, right? So after the title section, you can have an introduction section, and then again probably after that you can have a text box wherein you have some standard text for your customer which is printed, so that once you run your page, you can have the report in rich format. Now you can see you are actually viewing the report in the web. You can do you are viewing the report in the web, but this is probably not in a shareable format. So you will have to share them. Basically, I've expanded that particular area. It is view in either HTML format, view in PDF, Excel, XML, as well as view in Excel options. So once you are viewing them in HTML or PDF or Excel options, you will be able to export the data, and you will be able to share the data with the management team. So probably you can see the project that I selected, and it is giving me the request ID. Request ID is nothing but work item ID, the name, the project, what is the priority, state, summary, what is the request type. So these are the information that I'm showing in my report. So that's all with respect to RRDI. This introduction, how to create the report, all the information. Now I'm open for question and answer. So I expect people to, audience to post their questions now, so that I can just take one by one, and probably I can explain the thing. So anybody who has any queries, you can post their questions, please. This is the time. Just to remind, in case the audience has any questions with respect to the tool, or if there are any concepts that you are that are not clear to you and you want me to explain it again, please post your queries.
Hello, Sangeeta, are you able to hear me?
Aradhana?
Yes. Can we start the Q&A session now?
Yeah, actually, no, I went to the question sections and I could not see any questions. So I just reminded the audience twice. In case if they have any questions, they can post it now.
Yes, there are few questions that have come in. So I'll just quickly assign it to you. Are you
Okay.
able to see it?
Uh, how many questions have you assigned? Only one? Okay, the first question was, let me just read the question. Can RRDI be integrated with any rational gas tool? Okay, the RRDI can pull the data only from rational team concert, rational quality manager, and those next gen, or the rational requirement composer in its older version. But I will not be able to pull the data from any other rational or third party tool with respect to rational RRDI. Only inside can actually connect to the other standard rational tools. Also, it can even get connected to the third party software. So that is just one question which has been asked. Aradhana, if there are any other questions, please assign.
Yes, we are waiting for the question to come in from the audience. So I would request the attendees to please put in their queries to Sangeeta so she can take them. It seems the presentation was pretty well explained and we are not getting any questions from the audience. So Sangeeta, if you would like to sum up the session for today, you can do it now.
Okay, thanks, Aradhana. See, when there are no questions, right? Again, I know there are two things. Either all of us have understood everything, or we have understood nothing. I'll now try to be an optimist, and I'll try to believe that all of us have understood whatever the topics and overview about RRDI here, whatever way, at least whatever I told for this 45 minutes. So thanks all for attending. So this is just the information that I had, and few of my colleagues, the struggles that we had gone through while setting up an RRDI, and we don't know where to start, how to start. So that is why I plan to give this session. And yeah, I got one more question from Guru Prasad. Can RRDI pull data from other tools non-rational? RRDI will not be able to pull the data. Like in the overview section itself, I have told RRDI can pull the data only from the CLM tools, but rational insight can. So in DAG.NET, in case anybody wants to install their rational RRDI, there are actually a series of 3 videos that are in the YouTube, like module 1, module 2, and module 3, that are being uploaded by the IBM people, which are very much helpful. So you can just refer them so that you can configure your RRDI without any much issues. Usually, when you are configuring it with your VAS application server, everything doesn't go like next. There are always the chances that you would have one or the other issues, probably with respect to your ISs as well as with respect to your VAS. But just make sure that the architecture of your VAS matches with the architecture of your OS, such as 64-bit. Please install 64-bit of VAS only, else there will be a correction issue for the RRDI installation.
Thanks for the insightful presentation, Sangeeta. I'm really thankful to our guest speaker for conducting this wonderful webinar with us. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of the webinar will be available on techgig.com by tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Sangeeta, for taking the time out and having us. I hope you have a great evening ahead.
Thanks, Aradhana, for moderating also. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sangeeta. Bye-bye.